But hey, is everybody having a good time so far? You know, you make the event. It's what you get out of it, how you apply it when you get home. And I just want to thank especially my wife. You know, Alex has a way of pulling people in and getting us to do things that we're uncomfortable with. Never before did I ever want to do public speaking. I don't even know if I like doing public speaking. If I try to script or remember something, I blow it. So I just talk from the heart. So by all means, except for Lori, none of us are paid spokesmen, speakers. We're just going to talk from experience. When we founded Transcend, Alex's vision was to help people, especially in business, but this can help you with faith, fitness, finance, relationships, to have a place to go, create our own community, a way to give back. And that's what we're doing at Transcend. Let's stand up a little bit. Let's stretch it out. We had lunch. We were taking notes. You never know, Esther, who's going to be up here next. You know, the notes that you're taking today might be some of the material that you're sharing with people in the future. Scary, right? So, you know, I'm kind of a square guy. I have fun. I need a Long Island cocktail for that. Then you really get to see me unwind, which is rare. I have fun, but I don't. This is not really me. I'm in a baseball cap, shorts, and flip-flops. But stretch it out a little bit, right? We were talking about working out today, and my wife calls me a bully in the gym. I don't say a word. I just stand behind you, kind of breathe heavy. I break cables. I don't know. I would lift 5 times my size. She calls me the beast or the bully. But I just want you guys to stretch it out. You know, my background is in finance. You've yet to have me, you guys can sit down now, thank you. You've yet to have me speak on finance. Isn't that bizarre? I speak about things that I've encountered in life, but not what my forte, not what my bread and butter is. I'll give you one financial tip. Can I, Alex? Oh, he left. All right, thank you. So, a little uncertainty with this coronavirus, right? Be diligent, wash your hands, be careful of people that are sick, be kind to people, especially of the Asian descent, all the other things that you can read on the news. Hopefully it won't impact America like it has some of the places in the world. In fact, I'm going to Bob's Bass Bait Shop. I'm buying me a shotgun today. I'm not going to, you don't need to go into that extreme, but that's where I'm going to buy my son a gun today, right? Hey, you never know if you got to bug out and do what you got to do. But you have to prepare, good, bad, ugly, in between. But with that being said, you got to be diligent. Well, what do most people fight and argue about at home? Mr. Nunez. You know, you can have millionaires in the audience and they still are, you know, hackle. But he's right. Most people fight and argue at home about the lack of money. Well, what's happening to the economy? Did anybody see the stock market this week? Is that good or bad? Nope. The rich get richer. See, let me talk about Sephora or BB or something like that. Ladies, what happens when there's a sale? We buy more. Okay, if the stock market's on sale, that's how you become wealthy. When the market's down, that's when you buy. Sergio, if real estate goes down, isn't that a great buy versus being overinflated? So as much as you see that or hear that the sky or the roof is falling, it's not. It's the time to buy. So you should have been preparing for the change in the market, the downturn in the market, because that's when the rich buy. Everything is going to be on sale, despite that the people that'll be impacted. So anyway, that's my only financial tidbit, which is what I love to do. But thank you. Oh, since your daughter's here, never depend on a man. I teach that to women. That's another class for another day. It's not how much, it's when she starts, right? So there you go. All right, so how to deal with stress. I think what I liked about today's speakers and what Alex puts together, he takes the best minds, puts us in the spotlight literally, and then we become better people, better speakers, better trainers, better people ourselves because of the topic he picks. Well, I believe everybody's going to deal with stress. You know, how often do you deal with stress? To be honest with myself, probably every day. It's how we handle stress that I think where I can make more of an impact today. Because again, we're all going to experience, not a matter of if, it's when, it's how you handle it. We'll give you some tidbits. But just in business alone, you know, I've been in finance since 1998. I just crossed my 22nd year anniversary. I have like 5 companies we own, books out there, movies out there. These are none of the things I dreamed of. These things you get pushed into because people want to hear from you. But if you're humble and you don't like to be in the spotlight, but you still have to give back. So this is my way of giving back. By all means, my disclosure, I am not an expert in health, maybe a little bit in wealth, fitness or finance or relationships. I just do the best I could do every day. I become the better version of myself every day. I try to reinvent myself at every event. In fact, I had the privilege of meeting Stephen Covey. What an honorable man, right? Probably one of my mentors early on, faith-based, business leadership, development, growth, all those kind of things. And then as you grow within yourself, within this kind of a community, you become the expert if you do it long enough, because you've heard it and it's all inside of you. But then one day when you share it to other people, now you become that expert. You might not know it now, but once it becomes a habit, then you can give that away. You can duplicate yourself. So we talked about things that most people stress out about. Work, you might not like it. Can't always change it right away. Family, you can't change family. You're kind of stuck with them, so you kind of love them anyway. Relationships, that one I haven't figured out. I always tell my wife she's the lucky one because we met when she was 21 and I was 39. And now she's like mid-30s and I'm like mid-50s, right? I said, you met me like right out of the cradle. I met, I was, looking for you, but you were too young when I would have met you. So I think she's the lucky one. She didn't have to spend 10, 20, 30, 40, for some of us, 50 years to find the right person. But relationships, just keep being the best version of you, always make it about them. And when it comes to health, I think Lori said it best. Even if you had wealth, what good would it be if you didn't have your health? We see a lot of sick people out there, and I think a lot of times, unless it's genetic, I think like Lori said, you can reinvent yourself by diet, exercise, things like that. I think health might even be a psyche thing where you can will yourself to be sick or will yourself to be healed. I've seen that happen. Maybe that's a miracle, I don't know. And when it comes to finances, look, let's put that last on the list. If you hang around Alex long enough, should be your faith, then comes your family, and then of course health, and then your finances last, depending what you believe in. But the reason why I say don't worry about finances that much, everybody's chasing the same thing, the money. Let's call the white elephant right out of the room. There's nothing wrong with it. It's what you do with the money that makes a difference. Not all money is good money. How you obtain your finances, if you do it at the expense of people or employees or friends or family or even your health, then it's not worth it. But money will come. Money will come when you least expect it. Money will come when you do all the right things, right? It's just a byproduct of the hard work and what you invest in other people. But those are the things most commonly people stress about. Now, how do people handle stress? More importantly today, as you're taking notes, how do you handle stress? We've all lost it. We've all gone crazy. We've all had the psycho exes, right? It happens. Those are stressful moments. And our speaker said it best. And what I was trying to say earlier, it's funny, we never talk about our topics. We get a topic, but Alex, we never talk about the topic. And almost every one of the speakers before myself and Alex and Kevin later, we all have the same theme. So it's not like we planned it. That just means we've been doing what we've been doing long enough that we can all be saying the same things. Here's another thing I learned, just off the record a little bit. When you start reading the books, some of you want, or the books that we recommend, one day you'll become the books you read. Like the first book ever given to me outside of school was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Now, if you guys Google later a woman named Sharon Lecture, she wrote Think and Grow Rich for Women, Outwitting the Devil, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Her and I, or she and I, are going to be writing a book in June. It's almost finished, the manuscript, Think and Grow Rich for Children by the Napoleon Hill Institute. You don't get any bigger and better than that. But when I first got that first book by from a friend about Napoleon Hill, that book was written over 100 years ago. And the same secrets, the same principles of success were written 100 years ago. You just have to follow them today. Sure, we have more technology, maybe things move quicker, but you become the books you read. So if you're reading a book and you have self-doubt, and then you read it by someone maybe you admire, and you go, hey, I've been thinking that, I've been feeling that, maybe you've been doing that, well, you're on the right course, right? Never give up, go read another book. I think I get about that much out of each book, but if you read enough books, then you become a great product of the books you read. So how do other people handle stress? Well, Lori said it best. You can exercise, get those endorphins, those hormones going, eat healthy, harder said than done, right? Get a good amount of sleep, hydration, rest, the most common things. However, people handle stress differently. Not everybody can diffuse stress as well. Sometimes, and when I was thinking about this topic, 2 o'clock in the morning last night, so I could deliver for you guys, and I was thinking, man, my life is so flippin' busy that when obstacles or challenges or failures or whatever your life incorporates happen, sometimes it happens so quick you don't have time to react. Now, a lot of people shut down. They can be, health-wise, they become depressed. They can have mental health issues when stress happens. And then some people, usually leaders, business owners, a lot of times that might have some experiences, usually failure or something bad, can push through it. You know, if you look at the people you admire, your coaches, maybe your pastors, someone in your family, and you say, oh, I want to be great like them. Well, look what they've done. They don't have a lot of time for nonsense. They don't have a lot of time for BS. They don't have a lot of time for what we call drama. So again, it's how you handle it. Lori took a lot of my things, but you know, the things that it could do to your psyche or your physical self, mental health issues, anxiety, for that they have medication. But even with medication, sometimes you could do it holistically. Like she said, get outside, get some sun, reduce that, you know, environment, maybe eliminate the environment. Cardiovascular disease, heart disease. Do you know that those are the silent killers? You know, a couple of Thanksgiving ago, I always thought of myself as a little bit of an athlete, always wanted to work out more like everybody else. And it was the night before Thanksgiving. Everything was good, no stress. I deal with stress very well, at least I thought I did, but the body will sometimes let you know otherwise. And I felt like chest pain. I knew I wasn't having a heart attack, but I could tell something wasn't in sync. I know my body very well. Anyway, I got rushed to the hospital. We drove because, you know, I didn't want to call an ambulance and be embarrassed in the neighborhood, which were the youngest couple, interestingly enough. And my blood pressure was 220 over 180. At the same time, I heard my son, Braden, which he's in the back, my handsome son there by my wife, and he had pneumonia. He was coughing, and I had the nurses check me. Well, your son has pneumonia. You might have a heart attack. You're like, wow, that's... And I said, well, what's wrong with me? And I did every test, you know, weeks later. They can't find what's wrong. I said, well, you know, you are getting older. It's like a car. It wears out over time. But then as I started doing reading and some investigation and some research on my own, it could have been stress. Maybe that was a signal or a sign. So, I mean, hey, even though you don't appear to be stressed and you handle things very well, but that could be a psychosomatic type thing. What can you do about it? Well, how about eating beets? Or they tried to put me on a statin, and then they tried to put me on a blood pressure. I said, well, I'm going to get off these real quick. And then my wife likes to make like hibiscus tea. And then, you know, I said, hey, I see you fry some shrimp once in a while. I love my shrimp, but maybe we should eat, you know, what do you do when in a cocktail, shrimp cocktail, right? Steam it or boil it or something. Just little life changes that can make a big difference. Now every time I go to the doctor, I'm like, yeah, well, let Brady get checked out. Let me get my blood pressure. Last week was 109 over 70. Woo, back to the 30-year-old body, right? But anyway, just giving you things that you can look at because, again, these heart conditions that are caused by stress, even though you might not show it on the outside, could be happening on the inside. Abnormal heart rhythms, heart attacks, strokes, headaches. Interesting, when I was a child, I had headaches. I think they called them migraines. And they used to do all these brain and wave tests and hook wires up to me. Well, yeah, if I looked at my dynamics at home, it wasn't like my son. We had two loving parents, non-dysfunctional. And when I watched what my parents went through their horrible divorce, maybe that's what triggered the heart attacks. Because then they couldn't, you know, diagnose it, and they put me on something called Ritalin, and right, they got medicine for everything, right? Anyway, chronic pain. I have a lot of friends that suffer from pain, and I look at their lives. They have stressful lives. Maybe there's a correlation there. I'm sure there is. It can reduce your energy levels, your libido, your digestive issues. You know, I used to get nervous before I came up on stage just by my wife making things harmonious at home and changing our diet and getting more sleep. Even though I told you last time, she'd go, shh, 3 a.m. Like, what? She goes, I can feel you thinking, right? I'm not saying that's stress, but there's things that shouldn't be going on where I should be taking the time to rest and recharge the batteries. But before I would come up on stage, and I've spoken my largest stage, 50,000 people between Mandalay Bay and the MGM Grand or one of those, they piped it in together, so that's 50,000. I got to run to the bathroom. I think they call that IBS or something like that. Or I get nervous, right? I see the lights. Where's Dan? Well, you know, so I corrected all that. Not that I don't get nervous, but I'm just saying my digestive tract wasn't taking over what my brain wanted to, you know, get done for the day, which was the engagement. But a lot of people have digestive disorders. And I'm not saying probiotics might work, and I'm just saying a lot of this, or more hydration. It's all related. Again, I am not the expert. But you learn these by reading books and investing in yourself. Reduced appetite, or how about an increased appetite? Now, I can eat. I love to eat. I look for buffets, okay? And at my age, that's not good. But I always blame it on my metabolism. I'll go burn that off in the gym, right? And last but not least, and this one I know for a fact as a testimony, how about insomnia? They say when you're younger, you need more sleep, but then if you look at more mature people, if you will, elderly people, they don't get a lot of sleep. So, I'm stuck somewhere in between. Last night, I think I got 3 hours of sleep, just anticipating for today. And so those are all some of the psyche and some of the health conditions from stress. So let's talk about how you could start to handle it, right? We're all aware of those symptoms. I think we've all experienced those, some more than others. But then I divided it without reading a book, just what came from my heart. There's what I call minor stresses and maybe major stresses. And I'll just give you a few of my own, and you have plenty. But, I had to get my car fixed this week. I do not like mechanics, doctors, plumbers, lawyers, anybody that can rip you off and you can't control. To me, that's a minor. But now, what's a major? Flying. I'm supposed to go to Sacramento. It's like a 1 hour flight. Oh, hell no, I'll drive 7 hours. Huh, Kevin. I don't fly anymore. I crashed in a helicopter. One time we were coming back from New York. We dropped 20,000 feet in like 5 seconds. I was like, one more time. Coming back from Tahiti. I was like, I'm done. If I don't have to, I know it's going to stress me. I will stress out a month before, a year before. Can we drive to Hawaii? She said, anyway. You personally can also know what triggers those stresses. And again, you can eliminate them or get out of those environments. So again, bless you. Here's another one. My son's academics. My wife had a meeting, teachers say, well, he's an overachiever here, maybe an underachiever here. So I say, he's got 50% of you and 50% of me. I'm glad he's got what you gave him, what I gave him. But then that's a minor, because I know he's smarter than smart, but a major stress, college education, right? If he starts saving college funds, then it ruins his FAFSA. If he doesn't get an athletic, scholarship, you're always thinking about it as a parent because you want him to have a better opportunity. That's a major stress, right? Even though it's 20 or 12 years off from now. Diet. I don't worry about my diet that much because before I got married, I ate better. My wife learned how to cook. I ate worse, but now she's gourmet, so now we fixed that. But I do worry about heart attacks because, again, you can look good on the outside. You don't know internally what's going on the inside. Even lab work doesn't sometimes show it. But I've got all the friends at my age that are starting to die of heart attacks. Literally at my age, in the 50s, are dying. And that scares the heck out of me. Natural disasters, kind of a minor, right? If it happens, it happens. Be prepared, have your, preparations. What worries me a lot is the industry I'm in, regulation. I don't know if you guys experience regulation here in California, right? If you own a business. That stuff almost puts you out of business just because they come up with another rule or law and another degree anyway. Work doesn't stress me out because I love what I do. I think you saw Lori and Linda's theme. If you love what you do, it becomes who you are, becomes everything that you become and will become in the future. So that doesn't stress me out, but the recession, a recession. Now, recessions usually I make more money and that's horrible, but what I don't like about recessions is how many families suffer. How many divorces, how many kids watch their parents fight. See, I've lived through 5 recessions in my lifetime, and I see what it does to families. Unfortunately, in the money business, I gave you the tip of the day, buy low, sell high. There's going to be opportunity if you need real estate, you have Sergio here. But I don't like to see families suffer. Some of them don't know how to deal with stress, and I don't like to see divorces. I was talking to a wholesaler here at lunch the other day, and he says, yeah, I raised 2 daughters in this industry, and then my wife and I divorced, but she still lives in my house. We're best friends, and I date other people. I'm like, how long were you married? He goes, 25 years. I'm like, that breaks my heart. How can you be with someone for 25 years and then throw in the towel? I said, what happened? Because I never want that to happen to my family. He goes, well, you can't love your work more than your family. I said, well said. I said, I put my family first. Work comes second. So anyway, but recessions scare me because of family. So Alex asked me to pick 5 things. There's thousands of things you could do to reduce stress. How about eliminate the cause? If something is causing you stress, good, bad, or ugly, get away from it. Get out of it. Go away from it. Eliminate it. If it's not giving you a return on investment, it's just you don't have time for it, right? Number 2, she said it. Took another one. Illuminate. My friend David Corbin wrote a book, Illuminate the Negative and Accentuate the Positive. What does that mean? I had to look it up, even though I read his book. It means if there are challenges in your life, let's call them issues or challenges or problems, don't sweep them under the carpet. They're not going to go away. They'll manifest. They'll get worse. You got to hit it head on. And that's a valuable lesson out of these 5 things. What you could do is whatever that is, don't try to ignore it. You got to hit it head on with whatever you have. You got to give it your all. Number 3, fix what you can control. When stressors happen in your life, a lot of times you can't control how your boss treats you at work for the most part, or how your significant other may treat you good or bad during the week, or the person that cut you off, or the girl who screwed up your latte at Starbucks, right? Don't worry about the things you can't control, fix what you can control. Last but not least, when I thought of all of the thousands of things of what you could do to eliminate stress, the one that I came up with that I love the most, that just radiates the most from who I am, is when you have challenges, go help others that have worse challenges or bigger challenges than you. It's not gonna make yours go away. It'll make it feel, and I don't want you to think that the other person, I'm better off than they are. What I'm saying is you get so caught up in seeing what's important to them to get them to where they're trying to go. Sometimes it takes away some of the pain that you're experiencing at the moment. It's just it's like a mental distraction without knowing it. So give to others or help others when you're going through the worst challenge, and make sure that their challenges are bigger than yours. And I think you heard that from some of the speakers today. I'm going to give you a couple of testimonials. You're going to have a bazillion of them. And I had to think, man, I'm a pretty tough guy from New York. I don't really show a lot of emotion, to some of our manly faults. And I said, all right, what are three things? The three things, my wife will probably be surprised. She was telling me, every time I hear you speak, I learn something new about you after 15 years. Well, I was in the Navy, and you go on this thing. Jason knows, he was a naval officer. It's called Westpac. You fly, and you take a boat. See, I don't want to fly. That's how many fears I have. And you go to Australia, and you have to cross the equator. And the fun part is you become either a shellback or what is it called, Jason, or a polywog. Anyway, you get a little initiation. It's a non-hazing kind of military now. But anyway, after you cross the equator and have your little fun, well, I'm on a metal ship that carries helicopters. They call that a carrier. Now, I always call myself the smartest, dumbest guy you ever met, because unlike a lot of you guys, I failed 2nd grade, 6th grade, son turned around, 11th grade. He doesn't know this. So you're really smarter than me. But how does a metal ship, right? It's heavy, several tons. How does a metal ship float? I couldn't have figured that one out, still to this day. But have you ever seen waves 30 to 50 feet high? When you go through the Indian Ocean, it just came back to me. The ship goes like this, and then it goes like this, and then you fall out of bed like that, and then it comes this way, and then you hear metal creak. And I'm thinking the Titanic, right? We're gonna die. It's not how I want to go, right? I don't want to eat my shark, fall out of an airplane, things like that. But 50-foot waves, worse than that, I caught some kind of parasite, some kind of something in my intestines. Yeah, it was ugly, all right? And they couldn't medevac me off in these high seas. So I thought, hey, I'm going to die. And I don't want to die puking and all that stuff on a ship that's sinking, right? That's just not how I want to go. Because I felt helpless, two things could have happened. I could have kept worrying, which I did for a while, and you can manifest and create more health issues and problems, or I had to toughen up right at that moment. So look, I'm with a bunch of Marines. I'm the friggin' corpsman. The corpsman's sick. I got to man up. I got to handle this. And just mentally, I turned my whole psyche back on to the positive and somehow got through. But then at that moment, I thought, this is it. I'm going to go. Can't call my parents. Out in the middle of the ocean somewhere, and I'm going to be at the bottom. And it was a fearful time for me, right? Have you ever had a really scary moment? This is one for me. Second time that I think I probably experienced the most stress was when my grandmother died. I had already lost my dad, my grandmother in 3 months. And then I kind of took my grandmother under my wing. I literally called my grandmother, Frances, in New Jersey, while she was still living after my grandfather passed. I called her every other day and sent her cards every 3 days. And I took her everywhere from Aruba to Vegas, everywhere to gamble. But when my grandmother passed away, the stress that I felt, I figured out why. I thought about it last night. Is because now I was alone. It was the only person in the world that loved me, understood me, because it wasn't my mom or dad. They were divorced, and we're not equally yoked. But she was my rock. She was my stability. She was the person I looked up to. She was my mentor. And when my grandmother died, all of a sudden I was, an island of a man unto myself, right? It was just me. So I came to the realization the person that I had the most love for and I think had loved me the most, more than any other human being, is now gone. How do you deal with that? And I was now in my mid-20s, so here life happens. You can't go move back home, right? There was no home to go back to. And I had always looked for someone, and I used to ask my grandmother, how would I know when I find the right wife? She goes, well, look for someone like me. And I found her, almost identical, just different nationality and a lot younger. But that was the most love that I ever felt for a human being, even more than I had felt for myself, and it was taken away. And then lastly, unfortunately, most of you know our story, but it was probably the passing of our second child. Not that the first one wasn't bad enough, it just wasn't as extreme circumstance, because this was a full-term little boy that we had. And the hardest part about that, and I want to tell you that one, because how I dealt with it, not a lot of men could do what I had to do, it wasn't me that, I'm not even sure I've come to terms with it now, because you kind of question your faith and belief. But I told you last time, if you don't have some type of faith, you're not going to get through the tough times. But when our son died, and I had to call my mother-in-law for the second time to tell her she lost another child, that hurt. But to watch my wife's heart break to lose a child, and then the fact that I couldn't take that pain away, I didn't feel as much as a man as I thought I was, because that's something you're not prepared for. I didn't know how to take my wife's pain away. I dealt with it. I sold everything I owned. I moved us down to San Diego. I eliminated, because everybody knew us up here, even though that was a positive thing, but the memories were too hard. And I had to man up and just financially, what I worked for 40 years, I surrendered. I mean, the Hummers, Mercedes, the Beamers, the restaurants, the homes, no exaggeration. I worked my whole life for that. The number one goal that I had was to take care of my wife's mental status. It's called postpartum depression. She didn't have it, apparently, like the most signs and symptoms you see. But I wanted to prevent that at all costs. I even moved in with my mother-in-law just to make sure there was eyes on her every day. I was in the middle of a recession. I was in finance. I was in real estate. I was in mortgages. I was in the rest. I mean, you couldn't have picked a worse time of our life. Then I had 2 dogs, and I loved them just as much as people. I lost my dog, my Siberian Husky, of 16 years. I mean, how much more can you pile on one human being? Well, how I got through it, the stress, right? Because it wasn't anything I failed at. It was just, just bad luck, honestly. Is I got up one morning, probably the second day after his passing, and I felt like I was King Kong, and I beat on my flipping chest like a freaking animal. And I said, what else you got? Bring it on. If we're going to do this, let's do it now. And I just figured out real quick, hey, we're moving. You want to go to New York, Orange County? How about the beach? She goes, we're going to live by the beach? I'm like, yeah. Bought us a white round leather bed from Z Gallery. I made her feel like a rock star and a princess. And I don't think we're over it today. I think we deal with it better, and we have a child now, so that does help. But that's how I got through it. I don't think I knew someone that had a bigger challenge than me. And hell yeah, was I stressed out. But what I did was I didn't throw myself into work where I took myself away from my wife, where she needed me the most, but I worked smarter. Matter of fact, I don't even remember working. And I deal with families, and I deal with their assets, and I deal with, 70 of my clients have died, record to date. Every time you see me, I'm going to have a new number for you. It sucks, but that's just life. And those people depend on me. But yet I was working, but I don't remember working to this day. But I remember the things I did to take care of my wife, and the things I wanted to do to take care of my wife. So anyway, those are 3 different testimonials of some stressors. I prayed for the most part when I was in the Indian Ocean. That's how I got through that. That was my solution, because I felt helpless, but I had the willpower to not just want to die out in the middle of the ocean. I willed myself back to health. When my grandmother died, what I did was such the greatest sadness until I lost a child, but the biggest sadness I knew on my own without a family is I just worked to help other people, where my troubles, the passing of my grandmother didn't feel as bad, the pain. I just went to work on it. I enjoyed what I did, and I went to work, and I saw the benefit. I helped others, and I got through it. And then lastly, with our child passing, not that this was the only one, but I had to get away. I had to distract myself. I had to distract my wife. I eliminated the pain of Temecula, because like Rodrigo's was our baby shower event. Harvesting out on the gazebos where we did his memorial. And then she had to pick flippin' Beyonce today. Well, Halo was our kid's song. I picked that song. And then I even bought my wife Beyonce tape. I mean, certain things in your life, wow, I had to bring, that's a good, bad thing. It's a bittersweet thing. But I got us in a new environment, right? I eliminated everything I worked for, whole life's work, and said, hey, money's not important. My family's, mental status is more important. Let's get the heck out of here. We'll start over. We'll rebuild. And we did. So the 90-day challenge, where do you fit in? So I'm the wild card. You know where I'm going to take you. But the 90 days, like Lori said, you have a chance to reinvent yourself. And most people can only concentrate on only one thing for about 90 days, where you get bored or you fail, you give up, or you met that goal. So until our next event in 3 months, I want you guys to pick 3 stressors, just a little challenge here, a little thing you could do for yourself. Write those 3 things down that you can either eliminate or control, right? Because you might not be able to do both, depending on the situation, right? It's either you're going to control the situation, rise above it, or you're going to eliminate it. And write those 3 things down. And then here's how I get through a lot of it. I dwell on things, not in a bad way, and I don't waste a lot of time, and that's why I don't sleep. But you got to think first how you're going to get out of it. And then you're going to write it down. And then lastly, and she took all my thunder, which is okay. That's why we share a stage. We did pretty good, all of our speakers, for not knowing what the other person was going to talk about. Good job, Alex. Is, well, you have to have a plan, and then you got to execute it. And they'll throw one extra, and then you better flip and attack that thing like your life depends on it. So when our children died, and I had 6 mortgages and employees and commercial buildings and other hands and other businesses, and had people depending on me for their livelihood, I had to figure out how quick can I sell a house? How can I eliminate some of these materialistic things? How can I sign a lease when mentally I'm not there? Somehow I just wrote them down and I checked them off. Maybe I didn't get everything done that day or that week, but eventually we got into a better place, and then look where we are today. Matter of fact, Alex, I remember that he bought us a beautiful baby shower gift. I'll never forget that. And Alex and I had went on a different business adventure back in the day, and here we are today. But when we moved back up here, the house that we found in this little small gated community up on a hill here, we saw some balloons, and I saw a wall, and she says, "What are we doing in here?" So we probably can't afford this. I said, "Let's go in." Anyway, we ended up buying the first house, got rid of that one. I lied, said we don't, escrow fell out. Got another house, first house of the community, a better one on the back side of the hill. And Linda's like, all my dreams are coming back true. She goes, "You got your Hummer back. I got a baby now. We're moving back to my parents." And right when we think things are good, see, there's a difference between, there's a book called Good and Great, right? Is there a good taco? And then there's Tacos Tijuana, a great taco. We had that restaurant. Good taco, Taco Bell, great taco, Tacos Tijuana. Too bad we don't know it anymore. Could have just had everybody eat there afterwards. But there's a difference between good and great. And then when Alex called us and Gloria said, "Hey, I'm thinking about giving back. I don't want entrepreneurs to kill themselves. I don't want entrepreneurs to fail. I don't want to have entrepreneurs suffer like you and I did. Maybe it's not the extremes that Alex and I have experienced, but we want a community, a place where people could come, a place where we could give back for the most part." And before he even, he said, "Well, I want you to think," before we were in the car, before I even had a chance to think about it, before I even had a chance, and of course I was going to say yes, answer him, Linda, because he was on speakerphone, "Yeah, he's going to do it. We're in. Count us in. We're all in." And here we are, Transcend, our 4th event, this beautiful facility. And here we are, our community is growing, and we're bringing people. And Alice will talk to you a little bit about our broker affiliate program. And and I've got I made some new friends out of this, and I've seen some people's lives change, maybe not as fast as they wanted to, but we're seeing the growth and development, and all from an idea. So this is not a coincidence that you're here. It's not a coincidence that, Lori's here with us now and her friends and the other speakers. It's not a coincidence that after 20 years of Kevin selling me tires for my Mercedes and Beamer at $700 a piece that he's here. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think people are looking for good people. They just don't know where to go and who to trust. Here you can feel safe. Here we're not going to give you fluff. Here there's no, financially I don't benefit from giving this information away for free. But exponentially, the universe has a way of giving it back through friendships and relationships. So again, with that, I've got a short video. I just want to congratulate all the other speakers one more time, and Alex for the opportunity.